Hi guys, it's Chris at Cork and Crown, back in my shed with another cider to try. And it's another one from Smith Hayne, but this one is not keeved. It is in fact traditional method, so champagne method. Quite exciting. It's also 2018, so back to the special reserve keeved one we had, the red label Smith Hayne. It was the first of the three. This is the third one, so with the yellow label. Methode Traditionelle, so champagne method. So you make a base cider, a still cider, and you put it in a bottle and you dose that with sugar. And sometimes you'll also add more yeast. Often you'll add champagne yeast you'll add at that point. And champagne yeast sounds like it's going to be fancy because it's got the word champagne in it. But in fact, it's a very neutral yeast and actually makes things pretty dry. So it doesn't bring a lot of flavour to the party. The wild yeast are going to be much more complexity. So I'm not sure what they're dosing with. I assume they're putting some more yeast in. I assume it's going to be champagne method. That's pretty common. But I'm also assuming that the first fermentation they do to get the base dry cider will be wild. Don't know. Not sure. And then as it ferments, you will after that fermentation in the bottle, you will riddle it. So you'll take it from that way to that way, and all of the leaves and everything end up in the neck. You freeze the neck. You disgorge. The pressure shoots out that plug of frozen leaves, and then you'll just top up again, put a cork in it, and that theoretically is your finished product. 7.5%. This is pretty dry. It's off dry according to this. Actually, the little diagram there, the little thing. So this is dry, and we're just off dry here. Contains sulfites, unfiltered and pasteurised. That contains sulfites. Thing's very interesting. I'm going to do a thing on sulfites because I think it's something that needs discussing. I think it's a can of worms, and I think we need to open that can of worms. Free the worms. That's what I say. Let's free the worms, the sulfite worms. So let's let them go. But let's not do that in this episode. Let's do it in another episode. All right, so it's going to open it. No cheese today, just this. So after the 200th episode, got some very nice messages from people at Eden. Very nice messages. It's great when people get in touch with you, especially when like in Vermont. You get messages from people in Vermont, cider makers. How great is that? Also, I ended up having a conversation online with David from Bushel and Peck regarding the Cambridge coining that we reviewed like 3 or 4 episodes ago, and the fact that I didn't realise that on the back of the label was loads of information. I totally missed it. So I got a conversation with him online. Turns out he's got some of that coining available, so I'm going to get some of that off him. So I'm going to sell some of that Cambridge coining, which is the first culinary apple cider that's ever properly excited me. I want to say properly excited me. So I'm very keen to get some because I've been looking for some culinary apples to excite me for a long time, if you get my drift. Right, let's just open this. I said I was going to open it, then I started talking, as is my wont. Now that's just snapped off, so what we're going to do now, let's think about this. I'm going to have to pause and come back to you. Hello, I'm back, and I have some wire cutters. So I cut the top off with some wire cutters, these things here. So there you go, first time I've had to do that. Now Albert will be very anxious because look, there's a champagne method cork just sitting there, dying to pop out. So let's get it out. Will it come out even after that? Oh yeah, it's coming out. It's coming out. Pop, fizz, whoop, nearly, caught it. It's into a very exciting episode this, isn't it? So let's have a look. Gorgeous colour. Gorgeous colour. I think all of these ciders from Smith Hayne have been very similar in colour, see. Nice mousse on that. Was exactly what you'd expect. Exactly what you'd expect. Lovely and bright. Because it's been disgorged, you've disgorged the leaves, therefore it should be bright. Nice bubbles. Very fine bubbles. I mean, loads of very fine bubbles. Really good. Really good. But gorgeous colour. Like gold amber. It's a bit more of a dark amber, this, I think, than the last ones, perhaps. Not sure. But closer and actually it is darker than the Eden, but I think the Eden had some culinary apples in. I think this has got quite a complex blend of apples, but I think they're all cider apples. So you're looking at Michelin, Yantamil, Dabonet, Harry Masters Jersey, etc. All apples with tannin, basically. Gorgeous looking thing though, isn't it? Gorgeous looking thing. So where's my thingamajig? Just so you can see how gorgeous it is. There you go. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful. Let's have a sip. I think I can smell it already. Let's have a sniff. Nice. Ooh, a little bit yeasty. A little bit of that brioche bready yeasty pastry thing you get, which you tend to only get when things sit on the lees. It's to do with the autolysis of the lees. Bring this sort of brioche character, which is a characteristic I look for very much in like Clément and champagnes. I love that character. I love it. I don't like really austere champagnes. I just feel what's the point in them, which are very high acid and lack that sort of bready yeasty character. You know, it's just something that I really want in my sparkling wines, and I think there's a little hint of it in this. There's that apple character there, obviously. Not dessert, more like a ripe, aged, old apple skin, autumnal, forest floor kind of character to it, which is brilliant. This is obviously cold because, again, it's going to blow up if it's not cold. Let's have another sniff. Yeah, lovely. There is a pastry element, there's a ripe element, there's almost a tartar character in there as well, which I like very much, which I didn't really get in their Keef ciders. It's a smell I tend to associate with Keef ciders, but I'm getting it in this for sure. It's really nice. Smells good. It smells really good, I have to say. It smells really good. Let's try it. Ooh. And like the Eden, I mean, it's quite different in character to the Eden, but it does have the richness that the Eden had, which is surprising me. So it suggested there's some residual sugar in there, and I feel like there is. But it's the richness of the drink that gets me. It doesn't feel like it's the sugar content. It's like the rich pastry, apple, sautéed butter character with lemon as well that I'm getting, which I really like. Slightly spicy, cakey again. A little bit of funk on the nose, tiny bit, but in a good way. A little bit of farminess, but I like that. I really like that. These things come from farms. I don't mind smelling a bit of that farminess on them, to be perfectly honest with you. Really good. Very bubblicious, I was going to say that. Bubblicious. Solid tannins. Not really tannic, but it's there. There's minerality. There is an acidity in this. Slightly more acid than the Eden was. A bit more minerality, a bit more acidity, which balances that richness really well. Almost like a lemon character, which I think I mentioned already. There's like a lemoniness, bordering on a strong yogurt character. So citrus slash lactic acid kind of thing going on. And it's super cold, and this is going to open up a lot. As always, I will post more notes on here if and when I perceive them. Yeah. So I think I said the Eden had almost like a rich Blanc de Noir character. It's a rich white wine character. This isn't quite as rich as that. It's got a bit more minerality, a bit less richness, a bit more. I mean, it feels like it's got more acidity, but that might be because it's not as rich. But this is still a good drink. It's a good drink. Not quite as packs as big a punch as the Eden, but I like it. And I think I've suggested before that I'm not a big fan often of traditional method ciders. I feel like they lose something. I feel like, I don't know if it's that champagne yeast, that final fermentation that just sort of nullifies some of the appliness, some of the richness. I don't know. This doesn't feel like, but this hasn't gone to dry, so I don't know if they've used champagne yeast in this or what. Be interesting to know what they've done actually. I'd love to find out. It doesn't say on the bottle, but they have used champagne yeast. It's still got a lot of apple character, cider apple character, particularly tannic character. There's a richness. There's that aged apple character, which I love, and I don't want them to lose that when the traditional method is applied. And I feel like quite often it does, and it takes away value in many ways because I'm losing the things that I like about cider. If I want a sparkling wine, I'll get a sparkling wine. Not I don't want a sparkling cider that doesn't taste like a sparkling cider. Blah blah blah. It's good. It's good. Yeah, and tannins are there. Got that a little bit of leatheriness as well. It's not quite hitting the heights of the Eden, but don't get me wrong, so what? That was off the scale, I think, that one, for a traditional method. This is one of the better traditional methods I've had of cider, for sure. And I think I quite like this one, actually. I do. Yeah, good. Smith Hayne. So this is the last of the three I got from them. I've liked them all. They've all had similar characteristics, but also they're identifiably different from one another. And I think they're all using the same apple varietals as well, just blended in different ways, which is really interesting. I've got all these different styles out of the same blend of apples, basically. But that's what blending's about, and different yeasts and techniques, etc. Okay, guys. Well, that was an interesting and somewhat challenging tasting, wasn't it? Yes, Chris, it was quite. All right. Well, thank you for joining me. I hope to see you again. But until then, cheers.